Hey guys, welcome back to the layout. So today I've got another how-to video for you. I'm going to be converting an old Athearn gondola from horn hook couplers to knuckle couplers. And basically what I have to do is I have to take off the old couplers, the old coupler boxes, the trucks, everything like that, and switch them over to KD number 5s. Now, KD number 5s is probably not the most correct coupler to use on these, but it's all I've got. So I'm going to be using it because I actually found two of these old Athearns in an old box I've actually had for quite some time but never really looked into it. Apparently they're kind of vintage. I don't know how much they're worth. They've actually got the sprung trucks, which are really neat. I'll give you a little view there in a bit. But anyways, I really want them on the layout, so really excited. Wanted to kind of do a play-by-play as I do it. I thought it was a great opportunity for a video. Really quick before we get started, I'm terribly sorry that I haven't done the torch switch machines. Life's just been crazy. It's a big project, and initially the video I already started for it, I noticed that my arms were covering a lot of the shots just because of the angle. I was doing it back there, and I had, the camera, and I had my elbow and my arm in the way a lot, so you didn't actually have a good view of what I was doing. So I want to take that opportunity for the video, and I want to actually do it right. So I will be coming out with that shortly in the next couple days. Hopefully I'll get that done and get that uploaded. But for now, I hope this tides you over. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to go over some of the tools I'll be using today. We have the actual car here, the rolling stock, like I said. It's, as I believe it, a very old Athearn Michigan Central gondola. It's got the sprung trucks, which I'll give you a better view shortly. Alright, but some of the tools I will be using, obviously we've got the number 5 KD couplers, with the whiskers and the springs, and they're metal, so they can be used with magnets. All right, we've got the brass centering springs right here, and then the coupler boxes. Okay, I'm using a hobby knife. Okay, just run of the mill. I've got kind of a universal set, so no special end on that, just a nice sharp end. A small screwdriver. Some model glue, just some old cement for plastic models. Electrical tape, nothing special. And then just some tweezers. I thought I had some needle-nose pliers around. But anyways, tweezers with just a little magnifying glass on them. Nothing terribly special. So basically, let's go ahead, get the camera lowered. Okay, so basically, first off, we're going to need to take the trucks off. Now you can notice there's a bit of rust on here. I have no idea how old these actually are. I don't know where they're from. My sister does a lot of garage sailing, or used to anyways, and when she did, she picked up a lot of miscellaneous boxes, so that's where I got a lot of these kinds of things from, which is awesome because you get to find these really awesome, unique, great finds that I've never seen things like these sprung trucks before in person. These gondolas are really nice, so really excited about that. Anyways, basically, before I get too far ahead of myself, holding the trucks on the actual car is just a small screw, and it just allows them to rotate and slightly angle themselves. So I'm just unscrewing, if I can keep the shot, there we go. I'm just unscrewing these screws to take the trucks off here. And we're just going to lift up. Oh, I guess that's not all the way off. If I can actually unscrew it. There. Okay, so I'm just going to pop the little screw out there, and we're going to make sure not to lose that. Okay. So, if I can show you, there's actually real springs in there that work. You can see I'm kind of rotating it now if I can actually get my fingers on it. See? So that's pretty cool. I've never actually seen that in real life. Going to be very gentle. So we're going to put that aside and get my screwdriver back. And we're going to take off the other truck now. It's nice because these trucks are actually not plastic. They're like some sort of metal material, which is pretty cool. So we're just going to put that aside as well. Okay, so now we've got some broken horn hooks. First things first, we're gonna want to pop these coupler boxes. Oh wow, I guess that was easy. Wasn't expecting that to come right off like that. So maybe what we'll do is we'll show you the other side. Basically, I'm just gonna get my flathead screwdriver, and I'm just going to. Oh, the whole thing came off. Okay, well that's fine. That's what we wanted anyways. So in that case, I'm just gonna get in there and pry it off. Just like this. Okay. We can put that aside. We will not be reusing these coupler blocks. So, and I'm just gonna take the horn hook couplers off. Okay, so as I mentioned before, this is already starting to pry off. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna take this right off. So that's where the coupler boxes are. They're mounted on each side, and what we're gonna need to do is we're actually gonna need to cut those. So handy dandy knife, and now the only reason I'm actually cutting these is they are too thin to put my centering springs and my KD couplers in. If these were the correct size, I would actually reuse them, but unfortunately they are not. So what I will be doing is I will essentially... Oh, sorry, bumped the camera. I can't seem to find it. I'm just going to be mounting the coupler box right here, and we're likely going to have to widen this gap. So let's go ahead and cut the old coupler boxes off. Let's start at the coupler box. Leave these two little nibs for supports. Just visual supports. Now be very careful obviously with sharp things. I'm trying to show you guys. There we go. Cut right through, that's a bonus. Like that. Now why don't we cut it right through the other side too. And there it goes. Alright, so this part is done. We've clipped off both sides. Let me focus in on that. So all that's left is the, wow, plastic supports. Okay guys, so it's time to make our coupler boxes. You can say I've got some electrical tape just cut out onto the table. And basically all I'm going to be using this for, two reasons in this case. The first reason is to tape together the coupler box so that it doesn't fall apart on us, because we will not be using any screws. The second part will be to adjust the height, but I will show you that when it comes. Okay, so what you want to do is just take off your coupler box pieces. You're going to have the two, the top and the bottom. And depending on what kind of KD you've got, you're going to have a couple different kinds. So your little envelope here will have the instructions. And basically, before we start, I know that I've got to cut off the little screw holes or nail holes on each side, because it actually limits the rotation of the trucks, so the radius isn't as small, you know, because it can't rotate to such a good angle. So it really limits the amount of turning ability that they have. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my hobby knife and I'm just going to press down, and that just comes right off. Alright, so I'm just going to show the camera here. So you can see one side still has the hole, the other does not. And I'm just going to do that for both the top and the bottom with both sides. Now, if you plan to use these as, you know, securing the box to the car or the box to the box, obviously
don't cut them off unless you need to. I'm going to be tape and gluing the coupler boxes together, so it's not going to be an issue whatsoever that I'm cutting these off. But, you know, some people may take this as a literal tutorial, and realistically, every rolling stock car or locomotive is going to be different to the way you do this. As in, adapt a KD coupler to it. You know, if you're making a number 5 KD coupler box, it's pretty well going to be similar. But again, if your circumstances are different, you may not need to cut those off. I do. So I've got the top, and I'm going to lay it down as flat as possible so that the screw hole in the middle, the cylinder is actually pointing up. Okay? And again, I'm just following the instructions. I'm going to take the copper the copper centering spring, and I'm going to put that centered right in the hole. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to zoom, if I can actually find what I'm working on. Here we go. Alright. Okay, so the copper centering spring is nice and in place. Okay, and I'm going to take my KD coupler, and I'm just going to see if I can feed that in and just get the spring, there we go, out of the way so that that's in. Okay, so everything is kind of flush, and then what we want to do is we want to take the bottom of the coupler box, and kind of just, the way I tend to do it is slide it in from the back. So you can kind of slide it in from the back and hold the coupler, and then just kind of slide it up and down and have it press down. And you want to be just really sure before you press down. But once you do, you will have a box, and you'll know it's working if it springs to the center. Now, I've got this electrical tape, and I've just put, I don't know, an inch and a half out. Doesn't really matter too long. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut really thin strips, and I'm just going to cut 2. Okay. And what I'm going to actually use this for is holding together the coupler box as I work it onto the car. So it just comes right off, okay? And all I'm doing is I'm going to, I really should be, I guess, using my tweezers. Nah. It's very small. Again, patience is key here. And if you're using screws to hold this onto the chassis, you won't need this. This is because I'm gluing it. Perfect. Okay, so that's just basically holding it. I like to put one on the front, one on the back. Obviously, if you're doing this method, make sure that the holes line up. Although we're not using them, they're still very important to be lined up. Make sure that that spring still works. Perfect. So all I've done is I've just put the little tape around. It's holding the box together. Alright, so that's basically how I make the coupler box. I've already done the second one. Alright, moving forward, we're going to have... Okay, so now that we've got the coupler boxes together, I went ahead and I put the other coupler side on, because the way I like to do tutorials is, especially with this kind of thing, I get 2 tries. So I did the other side. I'm going to basically act like this is my first time. I'm going to be explaining what I do, and I basically pick whichever take I like best. A little bit of a cheater that way, but I find it works best. Now, taking the coupler box, And if you kind of rotate this so that you can see, this little gap here for the old coupler is actually too small. We're gonna need to have to widen it a little bit. So I'm just going to cut the plastic ever so slightly. There we go. Let's see if it works. Oh, see, and that's why I tape it, because I always goof and drop things. So if I don't tape things together, there we go. Okay, so that's a good fit. That's a good fit. So just like that. But, and you won't notice this on camera, but it's actually angled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to put something underneath the coupler to keep it level. And that's what I'm going to use this little strip of electrical tape for. And I'm just going to fold it up. I'm just taping it to itself. I'm not going to have to, I'll keep that in the shot. I'm not going to have to worry about it sticking to the car itself, because I'm going to glue everything in place. So don't worry. And the nice thing about this is if I get the wrong height, I either cut some off, I add some to it, you know, I'm gonna say about there. Yeah, now get the rest off my finger. Cool. So in the end, it's just a small little block here. Alright, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna just kind of position it about there. Alright, and I'm just gonna put the coupler on and just kind of hold that together. So that's where the coupler's going. And again, you likely won't see it on the camera, but it's fairly level, so I'm happy with that. Tape stuck to the thing. So now basically what I do is take some glue, and this is just plastic model cement here, and I'm trying to get a good shot for you guys. Spread some glue here where the actual I gotta take this off because it's all dried up. Alright, now I'm getting glue all over my hands. Alright, that's okay. So you just kind of spread some glue there, and I'm gonna just put a little bit of glue where I'm gonna put the tape. Alright. So that's a little more glue than I would have wanted, but that's okay. I guess you could kind of say it's a sticky situation. I really wish I would have had my needle nose, but instead I'm just going to take my knife and stab this, set this in, and use my tweezers. There. Doesn't have to be perfect as long as it gets the height it needs. And then I'm going to take another little dab of glue and just dab the top of the tape. And then we're going to sandwich the tape, put our coupler box on. Alright, so we're just going to take that. Yeah, alright. And you're basically just going to snug this up the way you want it here, just like this. And that's pretty much it. Once you know, you make sure that's straight, you make sure it's fairly level. And you let it dry. And that's it. So, you know, it's it looks a lot scarier than it is, I believe, than I believe it is. I think a lot of people kind of worry when they've got a lot of old stuff. But you let that dry for a little while, and once it's dry, we're going to go ahead and reattach the trucks and go from there. Okay, now that everything's fairly dry, we're going to go ahead and put this plastic piece back. Now, of course, we test fit it first. Kind of just drop it into place, make sure everything lines up the way it needs to. I'm very happy with that. Minimal space, not much I can do. Once the truck's on there, though, you won't really notice. So actually, that's just held in place by the trucks. I'm not going to bother gluing that. These wheels on the truck aren't perfect, but I'm not going to screw with them because they work, and they're a little rusty, which adds character. And they've got springs in them, and I really don't want to screw that up. So before I screw everything, just want to make sure that basically the wheels can go as far as they can go without hitting anything extra, which again is why I actually took the holes off. So I'm just screwing in this screw. Oops. Doesn't have to be super tight. You can see there's still lots of play even though that's snugged right up. Flip that over. You know, actually get it in the shot. Put this one in. Again, make sure that they're going as far as possible. Looks good. And we're going to screw that in as well. So when I'm not kind of doing a step-by-step tutorial of what I'm doing, this actually isn't very time consuming whatsoever. It might take me 10 minutes. So anyways, let's throw this on the layout and see how she looks. Alright, so here's my second gondola. I have put the knuckle couplers on. Looks good. Realistically, once the glue dries completely, the amount of weight that's going to be on these will be fine. And worst case scenario, because it is just glue, if it ever pulls off, I can glue it back and or always see about drilling into the actual car itself. I think if I were to, have some sort of loads in these, I would drill into it, but because I don't, I'm not going to worry about it right now. You'll see some very old rolling stock, some Tyco stuff, Lifelike, various brands that I found all in the box. So I'm working on restoring those, but I've just added some really cool vintage Athearn gondolas to my fleet, which is super excited. Maybe, in the near future, I will see about having them repainted. Okay, guys, well, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, criticisms, questions, please comment down below. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please like it. And if you are not and you want to be, please don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching and enjoy your bacon.